Hello, my name is Diego, and today is Sunday, and we are trying to do a live session, a live class to teach you 5 easy chords that every beginner piano player should know. And the goal of this class is to teach someone that probably has never played, especially adults, so they can learn very easily these chords on piano and start using them so they can play along some of their favorite songs. So if you are an advanced piano player, you have been either taking lessons or you have been playing for a while, this is not the class for you. But we did make a free PDF, so you can download it. That's going to be in the links in the description. And we also want to mention that this class is brought to you by the Absolute Beginners Free Piano Course. This is a course that we have, so especially adults can learn. I believe it's about a little bit like around 10 lessons, so you can get started in your piano playing. And I really believe that now it's a great time to start with a hobby, with a distraction. I think the pandemic showed us that it's not all about work. So if you're someone that maybe your job, it's high pressure, you want to get home and actually take your mind and do something completely different, I think a beautiful thing can be music. So I'm going to be teaching you these 5 chords. Maybe you can take some notes, watch the video more than once. At the same time, if you have any questions, definitely let me know in the comments. That's part of the reason that we're doing this live. And we're trying to probably start doing lives very regularly, as we believe that it's a great way to almost get feedback into what we're doing, as we have experiencing some growth lately. But we definitely want to put some effort in almost tailoring the content that you're seeing in this channel to your needs, as hopefully you are someone passionate about music that want get going. And one thing that I see, especially in YouTube, is there's a lot of information, but it's very easy to get confused. So I'm fortunate enough to teach 6 days a week and have literally hundreds of students. And it's almost a very cool thing to, through the years, try to put content there that helps people. So let's jump directly into the lesson. Now, we have a free sheet music, so I definitely encourage you to download that because it's going to be easier to follow along. Now, the first chord is going to be C, E, and G. So that is going to be, let me mention that chords are groups of notes. Usually you need 3. If you have 2 notes, you don't have a chord. You need technically 3. Now, the 3 go at a specific distance. And that distance, I'm not going to really cover the technical side of things. But if you look at a piano, this is a good thing about the piano, and we're talking only about white keys because this only applies to white keys. If you take one key, you skip one of the white ones, you play the next one, then you skip another one, and you play the next one, that gives you a chord. In this case, we're starting on C. And let me mention that on 2 black notes, a group of 2 black keys, you can see the piano has a little bit of symmetry. 2 black keys, to the left you have a C. 3 black keys, the key on the left will be an F. So that's a good way to like almost get a guide. And the piano goes from A to G. Past G, we have the sequence starts again. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and again, it starts again. And let me mention this, which is important for beginners. Your thumb is going to be finger 1, and your pinkies are finger 5. And this is important because you're going to be talking about these numbers when you play it. So what I want you to try to do is C, E, and G with fingers 1, 3, and 5. If this is challenging, one thing that I recommend to my students is maybe you can play them one at a time. Like the goal is to play them together because it gives you like a better, I don't know, like a fuller sound. So part of what we're going to be doing is playing them together. But I know when I teach that sometimes when someone tries that, it's a little bit like, like your fingers are almost pushing other things and it doesn't come out right. So it's absolutely okay to do it one key at a time. Now, I'm going to be showing you the first one. It's a pattern. It's a cycle of chords. We call that a progression. And this progression is in the style of the song Girls Like You. So part of like what I like to do with this lesson is teach you this, and then for you to go on YouTube, find those songs and actually play with them. Sometimes they're going to be fast. I'll encourage you to play them slowly. I'll show you in a second how to do that. But it's important to practice this with something, because if you just play chords, it may sound a little bit like kind of like, what am I doing? What is this for? If you play this alongside of something else, it's going to sound a little bit fuller and give you a little bit more like, oh, okay, this makes sense. So the reason that we're doing this class is because chords can be super functional to write your own songs, to play with other people, including, let's say, a singer. So we want you to practice this, but it can be a little bit boring if you just, play chords and there's nothing else to them. So let's talk about the second one. The second one, I want you to move 5 keys to the right to play GBD. So that's going to give you the second chord. By the way, let me mention that the first one is called C major. Major chords tend to have a happy sound. Minor chords tend to have a sad sound, almost like a dark sound. So second one, G major. Now, one thing that you can try to do is practice, and let me shut off what I had there for the bass. You can even do this, maybe slow it down, and practice just those 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, then move to the second one. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is challenging. Maybe do them one at a time on the keys. So those will be the first two. Ideally, play them together. As a piano player, it's a very important effect that what's supposed to go together, push it at the same time. If it's not supposed to, don't. But it's almost like we see a lot of almost one note coming a little bit ahead than the other one, like a... And it's almost, I don't know, deteriorates your sound, makes you sound less good. So make sure that you push them together. So now, after those two, I'm going to show you two more. Now, this is going to be A, C, E, which is an A minor. So from G, B, D, one key to the right, all of the keys. That's going to be an A minor. And then we're going to move two keys to the left to do F, A, C. So now, once you have this four, I definitely want you to try to practice them without stopping with a song. Now, the song that we have as an example for this is Girls Like You by Maroon 5. The song is a little bit fast. So when you're talking about songs on YouTube, and that happens also to some of the content that we put in our own channel, on our own website, you have a playback settings that you can click and change the speed. And a lot of adults don't know that in YouTube, you can slow down any video. So I really encourage you to practice slowly first. Almost get it under your hands first. Once you can kind of like do it, try to do it with the song, but slow. And then once you get it, try to put it at full speed and see if that helps you. So that can hopefully be a great way to practice. Now I'm going to do it so you can see it only with the right hand first. And of course, I'm going a little bit slower. 1, 2, 3, G, B, D. 2, 3, A, C, E. 2, 3, F, A, C. 2, 3, 4, and you repeat this. So the idea is to get your mind to be able to move along and be able to play without stopping. 2, 3, 4. So what do we want? When you're trying to interact with other musicians, let's say a singer, you can't have someone tell you what the chords are. You never play them and try to play with them. So when you do these things in advance and you show up to a party, you literally can play the song Girls Like You with the singer singing it if you can keep up the pacing. So it's important to practice that. Now, to mention this, and I think this is an important thing, I would never, in a professional situation, I'm getting paid to play with an artist, I would never do this and just double my hands playing the exact same thing. I don't think it sounds good. It makes you sound a little bit like a beginner. So you don't want to do that. Ideally, you want to do what's on our sheet music here, which is play just one key on the left. 2, 3, then a G. 2, 3, then an A. And then an F. So that is a great way to start practicing 4 of the 5 chords that we're going to be showing you today. So it is very important to probably, as a keyboard player, learn how to play them with either hand. So you want to be able to play them with the left and be able to do the 4 of them, and also with the right. But I would not recommend playing them at the same time, especially in a situation that you're actually playing. Maybe as an exercise at home by yourself, but I wouldn't recommend doing that if you have a singer in front of you. Now, let's talk about the second song. And for this second song, I need to show you one more chord. Now, the chord is going to be E, G, B. So this is going to be called E minor. So again, just to recap, we have C major, C, G. G major, G, B, D. A minor as A, C, E. F major as F, A, C. And finally, E, G, B. Now, one thing I would not recommend, and this is something that one time I went to see a show, and I thought it was like funny because there was a piano player sitting at the piano about to play, and I saw him do this. And I don't know if you can see my hand there. He was using fingers 2, 3, and 4 to play a chord. And it's funny because when I saw him and I was sitting in the audience, I thought like, oh, that's like a stretching exercise that I'm not familiar with. I was just like, wow, I never seen that. But because he wasn't playing yet, I thought that maybe he was like warming up or trying to stretch his fingers. And then he proceeded to play a whole song using those 3 fingers. So 2, 3, and 4. Now, I would absolutely not suggest that ever to anyone because, among other things, you're going to get strain on your hand. And another thing, it doesn't look good and it doesn't help you play correctly. So try to, especially not only play with 1 fingers through 1, 3, and 5, but make sure that when you're moving your hand, you don't change those fingers. I wouldn't do 1, 3, and 5, and then 1, 2, and 4, and then 2, 4, and 5. because that's almost like part of like what you want in music is consistency. So part of what you want is to, when you're playing something, if you can keep it the same, keep it the same. It's gonna allow you to have less mistakes as you progress. So now let's talk about the second song. The second song is gonna be in the style of Save Your Tears. So for Save Your Tears, we're actually using a little bit of a different arrangement here of the notes, but I'll show them to you just so you have an idea. And this again is, most of the song is this chords. There's a couple of parts that have different chords. So I would say probably for the first minute and a half of this song, you can put the song up and practice with this. And I would say this pattern of chords starts when the singing starts. So the first one will be E, G, and C. Then we're going to do E, A, and C. Then we're going to do the chord that we told you about, which is E, G, B, the E minor. And then the D, G, B. So if I put it a little bit on the faster side so you can see it in context, it will sound like this with two hands. 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. And so on. Of course, I'm playing it a little bit slow, but with this you can once again practice chords with a song that is popular in a way that hopefully can get you to play with other musicians fairly quickly. So that's also another song that I would suggest probably slowing it down on the playback settings of the video so you can actually practice with it. I'll show you one thing in a second about how this chords can play literally thousands of songs, which involves doing something to a keyboard, and this doesn't apply to a piano, but we'll talk about it in 1 second. Now let me show you the third song that I want to show you that you actually can play just by playing these chords. And on this one, we need chords that I already showed you. This is I Got a Feeling by the Black Eyed Peas, or In the Style, and so on. So in this one thing that you're going to do, and I think I need to go a little bit faster, is going to be a G major chord, GBD. Now for this one, you're going to have to go 8 counts instead of 4. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. EGB, which is my third chord, and then I go back to CG. So in this case, I'm actually playing only 3 chords, repeating one of them. So it's going to be GBD, 2, 3. Let me do it with drums so you have an idea. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, CEG. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. Now the whole song is the same thing. An important thing I think to mention too is that when you play songs, you should start to have the sensitivity of like, okay, if I'm playing the wrong chord, it doesn't sound good. Like if you're playing this and it sounds like this with the song, that's what it's supposed to sound, not like this. So if you play the chord that you're trying to play but it's in the wrong place, it doesn't sound correct. So hopefully with watching this video and following along, you can almost feel when you play the right thing. To me, it's almost like it lines up. It feels like it blends. When you're playing the wrong chord, it probably wouldn't blend. But take advantage of the whole idea of slowing down. Now, let me mention the way that you can take this 5 chords and play literally thousands of songs. This involves a little bit of musical knowledge, but we're gonna put a list together that we're gonna try to share in the description of this video a little bit later for songs that you can transpose. So let me show you a little bit of what does look like in my pianos. If I play a song that I need chords, for example, like if I play a C right now, my keyword is making the C note come out when I play it. But there's a function called transpose. Now, in my keyboard, I have to press a couple things. But if I get it here to, let me see, let's do +4. 2, 3, 4, 5, actually 5. Now, when I play a C, I'm getting, you can hear it on this other keyboard, an F. So what I'm doing there is I'm playing a C, but the keyboard is actually sounding a different note. So let's say I have a song like Just the Way You Are by Bruno Mars. That song has a couple of chords that do not really only have white keys, but if I put it on +4, I can now play it with the same chords that we just showed you by doing CG. I would believe the second one is ACE. Then the next one will be FAC. And then back to CEG. So I will get into the technical side of things. You definitely need to tell you that you need to put it in transpose plus 5 in this case to match the key of the Bruno Mars song just the way you are. So pretty much the keyboard and most electronic keyboards are able to transpose, which means you have to look into your manual to see how you do that. But you go into it, you switch the transposition. That way, when you play a note, the keyboard is actually sounding something different than the key that you're actually playing. But the cool thing is that allows you to, I wouldn't say use that for a performance. I don't believe that that's a good idea. I have personally a couple times like used it and then forgot to change it back, and then you start the next song in the wrong place and it's not good. But it's a way to get you as a beginner to practice more songs quickly, so you don't stay stuck with 3 or 4 or the only songs that have white keys on the piano, because not every popular song has only white keys on the piano. So once again, we're going to try to share a list, or maybe you can come back to this video in a couple of days with a list of the chords and the transposition for specific songs that you can play. But just the way you are will be an easy one that you can almost switch that. And let me actually switch it back to put it back on 0. Once again, I need to do this with 2 hands. So that is a great way to practice a bunch of chords. So let me mention once again that this class is brought to you by our Absolute Beginners free piano course. Now you can check that course in the description of this video. It's free. It's around 10 lessons of songs that are specifically put together for adult beginners that have never played piano. And the goal is to help you, because I really believe that there's a lot of disinformation. It's funny because almost every beginner that takes lessons with me, I feel like has pretty much tried on their own and felt like they couldn't move along. And it's interesting that with the avalanche of music information and music lessons out there, the people are just getting confused and almost frustrated. So I would say if you are one of those, give a shot to our Absolute Beginner piano course, because it's not about what you're doing, but I really believe it's about doing it in a sequence that makes sense. So it's almost like I equate it to, like, let's say you want to learn how to run distance running. So you are going to, you show up to the first day you're going to run and you're going to try to run 22 miles. It's not going to happen. But the people try to do that in music, and they go like, oh, I want to learn, my first song, I want to be able to do my first piece. It's like, that's a terrible first piece. If you never played piano, you try to do that, it's the equivalent of trying to go for a run for 22 miles on your first day of running after you have never run or try to train for it. So I really believe in putting a framework so people can benefit from it. So check that, the free Absolute Beginner piano course. And at the same time, try to download the sheet music that we created for this lesson, so you can also benefit and use it to practice along with the songs that you like. And we'll put together a little bit of a list on the description of this video, so you have a couple more songs to be able to practice along using the transposition. If you would like to know a little bit more of what we do here at The Hit, check our main website. That's thehitmusicstudio.com. I want to thank you for your time, and definitely if you have any questions, we would love to respond to them, to almost interact. One of the things that I really believe is that your feedback is incredibly valuable, because we're putting a lot of content regularly. And I really feel like in the growth that we have had lately, I would like a little bit more feedback into what matters to you. What do you want to learn? I see it a lot with the students that I have weekly, because I teach 6 days a week, into what their needs are. But one of the things that I really want to do with the channel now is to try to see and probably maybe give it a little bit more of a spin to help adults learn how to play. So that's, I think, something that I'm very passionate, because I think it's a great addition. Music is great for your mind, it's great for your soul, and I really want to share a lot of what we are doing at The Hit with you. So we'll see you on the next one, and thank you for watching. Take care.